review, video review, whatever you want to call it. Take it easy on me. I thought we'll just first give you an idea of who I am. My name's Ali. I'm, considered one of the, biggest blues fans in the Middle East, maybe the biggest. I have my own blues blog. I'm also a bassist. We played with many bands before in Lebanon and in Kuwait. That's where I live right now. But enough about me. Let me just tell you, even though this is not a blues review related to anything that I do, but Pink Floyd is very important to me. As a bass player, one of my first songs that I learned was Money by Pink Floyd. And when I was in Beirut studying in AUB, I was in a Pink Floyd cover band. We did pretty well, actually. Let's get right down to it. After 20 years of the release of The Vision Bell, we got The Endless River. The Endless River is the first album since 1994 that features the main members of Pink Floyd, being David Gilmour, Nick Mason, and Rick Wright, who passed away in 2008. However, this album is not a pure studio recording in the sense that it's not all new material. It's actually material written by the band when they were jamming back in the Division Bell sessions. Things that they were not used on the final album. So what happened was David Gilmour and Nick Mason, they decided to honor Rick Wright's passing by taking many of these songs that were originally recorded back then as jam sessions, and they were found laying around in the studio somewhere, and reworking them to a new song that can be used as a full album. And I was very excited to hear this news because, like I said, Pink Floyd is very important to me and very dear, not just to myself, but millions of fans. Even as a blues player, you can also sense, since back in the 60s, they are very much influenced by the blues. They've done too much for the music industry, and there's a lot to be thankful for. I'm not going to go track by track on this album, just for the sake of time. However, I just want to say this album is genuinely brilliant and it's beautiful. Many people, and I've been reading this online in many forums like on Reddit and other sites, many people were very skeptical that this album is not going to sound very good. Many people, of course, were upset. Why isn't Roger Waters in this album? Of course, Roger was the bass player of the band and he left in '85. But I honestly don't see that any of these fears should be even worried about, because this album is beyond ethereal for me. There's 18 tracks on the album. Only one of them has lyrics, the rest are all instrumental. They're all kind of seeded in the normal expectation of a Pink Floyd album, is that all the songs flow one by one together. In a sort of sides, like they call them here. There's 4 sides, each side containing around 4 to 5 songs, some less depending. The songs are all very short, mainly, that only a couple of songs pass the 5-minute mark. On the first listen, when I heard it, you can easily evoke late 70s Pink Floyd sounds. You can hear them very well, especially on songs like one being played right now, which is It's What We Do. It's got that 70s vibe to it. There's a lot of hints from Wish You Were Here, from Metal, from Echoes. Some songs on here have something off Saucer Full of Secrets. Even one of the songs, which is Alonzi, which is one of my favorites off this album, has the Run Like Hell feel from The Wall. Some of the songs obviously considered are filler songs maybe. However, you have to look at it as the bigger picture. This album is not meant to be taken track by track on its own. There are no classic songs. I would say there's no one track that really defines this album. It doesn't have that classic feel, like for example Comfortably Numb or Money or Time or Shine On You Crazy Diamond. There are no such grand solo songs that can be taken on its own. But as a complete suite, as a complete piece, it really meshes together very well. They were able to honor Rick Wright's legacy with this album because he's prominently featured on it. And it's brilliant. I don't think any Pink Floyd fan should really worry about this album. There's a certain expectation of Pink Floyd. You expect perfection, you expect a classic album, you expect something that will just take you to another level, and honestly, this album does. Maybe not on the level of Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here, and it doesn't have that lyrical statement sound like On the Wall. Obviously, Roger Waters' input has a lot to do with it, especially his songwriting skills. Obviously, David Gilmour was not known for being for a great lyricist. He was more of the emotional side of the band, and it's very evident in here. You can hear his guitar solos, that whole feel. You feel you're going all the way back into 1994, because a lot of this does sound like the Division Bell, and depending on which side of the coin you're on, either the Gilmour or the Waters side, you might consider that a good thing or not. I personally found it fits very well. It feels you're back in the Division Bell era. Again, this album might not fulfill some people's expectations because they're expecting a true final album where they go out in a bang. But honestly, in this one, it's more like a reminiscent, ambient, sort of very smooth transition to the way out. The final song, which is called Louder Than Words, which again is the only song with lyrics, is maybe not as powerful as High Hopes, which was the final song on the Division Bell. However, the exit is very clean and more of like a looking back type goodbye than going out with a big bang. Very meaningful album. I've been listening to it non-stop from start to finish. It's brilliant. It's got everything that a Pink Floyd fan would really need, and I encourage you to go out and buy this album. You will not be disappointed whatsoever, as long as you don't expect that this is going to be a classic album such as Dark Side or Animals or Wish You Were Here or The Wall, etc. Some of the songs are considered fillers. However, I encourage you to take it as the whole picture instead of track by track. And I'm really glad this happened. I'm very emotional when it comes to Pink Floyd because again, I was in a cover band. I learned to play most of their songs on the bass. So they're a highly influential band for me personally, as well as millions of others. So if I had to rank it or have to put a score, I would say this is an 8 out of 10. Mainly again because out of the 18 tracks, maybe you can say 6, 7 are really standout tracks. The rest are mainly filler sequential songs. Another thing is that maybe the songs are too short and there are no 21-minute pieces. But in the end, it does have that Pink Floyd sound, it has that psychedelic sound, it has the progressive sound, and it's all melded in together with 2014 technology, and it does not disappoint, and I do recommend you go get it. And now, if you excuse me, I'm going to continue jamming on my bass on other Pink Floyd tracks, so I'll see you guys very soon.